Inside the Magic, show number 490 for August 24th, 2014. It is Sunday, August 24th, 2014. This is show 490 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I'm your host, Ricky Briganti, with another great show packed with a whole lot of Disney fun this week. Well, and every week, really, but especially this week. Before we get into all of it, I invite you to visit our website at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, or anything that you want to send in, you can do so by emailing me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. If you still haven't decided on a summer vacation, well, you might be out of time, but there's always time for a Disney trip, be it Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise. The folks at Magical Travel are available today to hear where you want to go and help you get there by calling 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And thanks very much to all contributors to this show, whether you're donating or clicking through any of those links, Amazon, other affiliates over on the website. It all supports this podcast. So thanks very much for that. And now, let's get started with a trip around the world. We're going to start over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, where a date has been moved up for the closure of the American Idol experience very, very soon. August 30th is now when it's going to be closing instead of January, which is when it was previously announced that it was going to close. So, what's coming after that? We don't know quite yet, but American Idol's going away. Now, also over at Disney's Hollywood Studios this weekend, of course, was the Villains Unleashed event just last night, and I'll be talking all about that in just a little bit. Moving past that for the moment, we'll talk about some other spooky stuff, which is Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party coming up. First one is a week from now, believe it or not. Already Halloween season. Very exciting. And Disney has announced some changes to this year's Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party. Nothing huge, but villains seem to be moved around a little bit. Jafar's going to be in Adventureland, Queen of Hearts over in Fantasyland, Lotso Huggin' Bear's going to be in Tomorrowland, the Evil Queen and Maleficent are going to be in Princess Fairy Tale Hall, along with Anna and Elsa, of course. They'll be on the other side. Naturally, Disney wouldn't want to have them absent from the party. In addition, something new, Club Villain will be taking place in the Diamond Horseshoe in Liberty Square. That'll feature Cruella de Vil, Dr. Facilier, Anastasia, Drusilla, and Lady Tremaine, along with other bad guys and gals. The Villains Mix and Mingle show will be returning to the Castle Forecourt stage, as will the, here it comes, Phineas and Ferb Creepa Crew Pre-Parade. Yeah, that's going to be back. The Boo to You Parade is returning as well. Now going to be featuring Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope in there, so that's something new. Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas will be meeting once again in Not So Scary this year. The monstrous Scream-O-Ween Ball will be held in Tomorrowland, and the Headless Horseman, of course, will be back, as well as the Happy Hallowishes fireworks. So, largely the same party. Of course, candy and all that will still be there, and other decorations. It's going to be 26 nights this year, more than ever, continuing all the way through October 31st, though Halloween night already sold out. Of course, all this is at Walt Disney World at the Magic Kingdom. Speaking of Walt Disney World and near the Magic Kingdom, the Polynesian continues to undergo a whole lot of changes, the Polynesian Hotel. And the latest is the reopening of Captain Cook's, the quick service eatery. Has come back now, featuring some stylized travel posters on the walls, an overall better look, a new menu that features sandwiches, coconut curry meatballs, fish tacos, chicken and waffles. The pulled pork nachos are back, which is excellent because those are excellent. But something very important is missing from Captain Cook's, the Dole Whip. Self-serve Dole Whip is now gone. Now, don't worry, it's not gone from the Polynesian forever. A new location is going to be opening very, very soon, probably within the next week or so, in which they'll be serving up Dole Whip there in the hotel, seemingly in different flavors and whatnot, but I don't think it's going to be self-serve anymore, so we'll see how that goes very soon. Let's jump coasts out to Disneyland now, where the biggest announcement of the week for Frozen fans was that Disneyland's Studio Disney 365 in downtown Disney is going to become Elsa and Anna's boutique in September. Is what I meant to say. September. Midsummer's already gone. Now if you want a Frozen-style makeover, that's going to be the place for you. If you don't want that, then you're not going to want to go there. So that's about all we know about that at this point. It's coming up in a few weeks. Now, let's jump back out here to Florida, but to a different park, to Universal Orlando, where they've announced that beginning September 1st, continuing through the end of the month, September 30th, there will be early park admission available for Universal Orlando pass holders to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter 1 hour before the theme parks opens, Monday through Friday only. It's part of Pass Holder Appreciation Month. So if you've been dying to get in there, see Diagon Alley, ride Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, this is going to be a good opportunity to do so if you're an annual pass holder without waiting in some sort of absurdly long line. Well, depending on how many pass holders show up, but probably not a huge amount. So there's that. Now let's move on down to Tampa, where Busch Gardens has unveiled the final new element of Howl-O-Scream this year. I previously talked about all the new haunted houses and the roaming hordes of creepy bad things, and the last element is something brand new, something unique, and has definitely not been done in Busch Gardens Howl-O-Scream before. I don't even think it's been done anywhere in Florida before. In an event like this. It's going to be called Zombie Containment Unit, an interactive zombie hunting experience. It's set 3 years after an undead invasion. There's the Containment ZCU-15, in which zombies have escaped, and Howl-O-Scream guests will be equipped with zombie eradication devices, also known as laser guns, or laser tag sort of stuff, and you'll be able to go in there and shoot away and gun them down. That is included with Howl-O-Scream admission. No reservations are required. Just show up and wait for your time and, fire away. So that should be pretty interesting. Looking forward to seeing that. Howl-O-Scream begins September 26th with Freaky Preview Weekend that weekend. And then that's just 2 days that weekend. And then it runs Thursday through Saturday nights, October 2nd through November 1st, as well as open Sunday, October 19th. Let's jump overseas now to Tokyo Disneyland, where they have announced a new Frozen celebration for 2015. That's right, even more Frozen in the Disney theme parks. This Frozen celebration in Tokyo will include a parade, some nighttime entertainment, and lots of themed decorations. It's going to last 67 days, beginning January 13th and continuing through March 20th. It's called Anna and Elsa's Frozen Fantasy. And the nighttime castle projection show is going to feature some new scenes based on Frozen. And they're going to appear in the parade, as I said, as Let It Go naturally blasts through the park. There will be special menus and merchandise and lots of snow and ice crystals throughout the park, sort of capturing the film's atmosphere. Moving away from the parks now to the world of video games, where Disney Interactive has announced a few things for Disney Infinity, one of which is a special version of the game that you'll be able to buy within the next few weeks, called the Toy Box Starter Pack. If you're not interested so much in the play sets, and you just want to play around with the Disney characters in the Toy Box, this will be the set for you for Disney Infinity 2.0, obviously. Merida and Stitch will be the figures coming with that, though there will be quite a few other Disney characters, non-Marvel characters, that'll that'll be usable in this version. Of course, there'll be plenty of Marvel characters available along with play sets, including Guardians of the Galaxy and Big Hero 6 as well. But actually, I don't know if Big Hero 6 is a play set. I don't think so. But anyway, so lots of Marvel, lots of non-Marvel coming out as well. Now, if you own Disney Infinity already, for Nintendo Wii, the original Wii, Disney Interactive is actually giving you an opportunity to upgrade your play experience to the Wii U version completely free of charge. You'll, if you have the original Disney Infinity starter pack on the Wii, you can download that Wii U version in the Nintendo eShop, complete with multiplayer. And of course, you'll still need the base and the figures and all that in order to use it, but that's good because the Wii is kind of going away. Sorry, kind of gone already. So, Wii U, definitely the way to go. In the world of movies now, a whole lot of Disney Blu-rays came out very recently, and I reviewed them all over on InsideTheMagic.net, and those are Toy Story of Terror, my fantastic Halloween special that I just absolutely loved. Lots of great bonus features on that one. Muppets Most Wanted also came out on Blu-ray. Lots of good bonus features on that as well. Tarzan, Hercules, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Fun and Fancy Free, and The Three Musketeers, all available on Blu-ray. You can read more about them over on our website. Speaking of merchandise, back out here to Walt Disney World, a new Magic Band that's highly sought after has come out in the last couple of days. It is a limited release version designed after the Haunted Mansion. It's got that famous wallpaper pattern on it. Now, it's not purple, as you might think it might be. It's actually gray, but it still looks great. I'm going to have to get one myself. You do have to link it to a My Disney Experience account when you buy it. You can't just buy the Magic Band by itself. So, that way they make sure that one person doesn't go in and buy 10,000 of them and sell them all on eBay. So it is available at the Magic Kingdom, and yeah, that's fun. I hear that soon, it doesn't do anything yet, but soon you'll be able to tap it up against Magic Kingdom, FastPass Plus posts and entering the park and all of that, and it'll make some spooky, fun sounds, perhaps some from the Haunted Mansion. So we'll wait and listen for that. More merchandise news, and this is the one that Guardians of the Galaxy fans have been waiting for since seeing in the movie. Minor spoiler here. If you haven't seen it yet, you might want to cover your ears for the next 15 seconds or so. Coming out from Funko as part of the Pop Vinyl line very soon will be the Dancing Groot. Little baby Groot in a pot that you've been waiting for. Now, it doesn't move on its own. It's a bobblehead, but still pretty exciting there. There's a wonderful photo of it that I put over on our Facebook page. Pricing and release information should be coming within the next few days, and pre-orders will start very soon. I'll post about that online on Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. So you can definitely look forward to picking up one of those. I'm sure that will be a hot item. Speaking of exciting merchandise, the Figment comics series from Marvel and Disney, the Disney Kingdoms line, is winding down, and this week we offered a first look at its final issue, Figment number 5, which is due out on the perfect date of October 1st, of course, the anniversary of the original opening of Journey into Imagination at Epcot, and Epcot's anniversary as well. And over on InsideTheMagic.net, you can find 5 work-in-progress black and white pages from the issue that includes the big reveal of Dreamfinder's famous aircraft, the Dreamcatcher, finally showing up in the comic, and that actually inspired the look of the comic series. So head over to the website to check that out and read a bit more about it. One final bit of news this week for television. Those of you looking forward to Star Wars Rebels, that will has been set as far as when it will come out on TV. The premiere date, first up, the initial jump into it, which is called Star Wars Rebels Spark of Rebellion, will be on Disney XD on Monday, September 29th, and then it will be on Disney channels around the world on October 3rd. And then after that, the series will take over. That's sort of the special leading into it all. So I'll definitely have to watch that. Star Wars Rebels looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And that will do it for your news from around the world this week. This week's tip as I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about the Villains Unleashed event in just a few minutes, and this doesn't necessarily specifically apply to Villains Unleashed, though certainly that, but really, when it comes to any of these Disney special events, whether it's that Villains event or the Haunted Mansion events they've had in the past, or any of these sort of one-off, one-time events, it is very important to set your expectations appropriately when going into it. A lot of people have come out of last night's event, the Villains Unleashed, really unhappy at the way things went. I actually had a good time. And again, I'll be talking about that in just a minute, but my tip is to set your expectations properly. Don't expect ever at one of these Disney events to see everything or even half of everything. They load these events with entertainment and overload them, in fact, to the point where they want to make sure everybody's doing something throughout the night, but there's no way for everybody to do everything. And because of that, a lot of people get disappointed because they expect to, be able to see a huge list of things, and then you only get to see a couple of things. So it's kind of important just to sort of take that as it is and just think, hey, it'd be great if I did this and this and this, not this and this and this and this and this and this. And then if you do more, fantastic. You've had an even better time. Planning goes a long way, too. So that's my really vague tip that will make a whole lot more sense here in just a few minutes as I talk more about that event. But first, everybody out there, please send your own theme park tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. But before I get to talking about Villains Unleashed, I'd like to welcome a very, very special guest to this week's show. Joining me this week on Inside the Magic is the creator of one of my favorite characters of all time, Roger Rabbit, Gary K. Wolfe. Thanks very much for taking the time to chat.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's jump back quite a few years to when you came up with Roger Rabbit. I understand the character kind of came to you over Saturday morning cartoons. How did all that happen?
I did indeed. I was watching Saturday morning cartoons purely for research, as I told my wife. I wasn't enjoying this. I just had to do it for research purposes. I was trying to get some inspiration for something that I could use that would take advantage of some of the things that I love best, which were cartoons, comic book characters. I wanted to use those in some kind of a noir mystery, and I just couldn't come up with a concept that would combine all of those things together. Then while watching Saturday morning cartoons, I realized that not the cartoons but the commercials. I realized that there were cartoon characters, Captain Crunch, Snap, Crackle, and Pop, Tony the Tiger, the Trix Rabbit, cartoon characters talking to real kids. And nobody seemed to think that was odd.
Sure.
I thought to myself, what an interesting idea that would be. What would you have if you had a world where cartoon characters were real? And that's where it all came from.
Now, how many years ago was that?
Oh, golly. The book actually came out in 1980.
Okay.
And it was probably 1976 when I had that big aha moment. It took me almost a year to research comic book and cartoon conventions, like what kinds of things go on in comic books and cartoons that people accept,
right,
that would really be odd in the real world. And my favorite one is, in comic books especially, is the use of word balloons. In my book, the characters are characters from comic books and cartoon strips, and they talk in word balloons. So when they put up a balloon, you don't talk to them, you read them. If they turn around, the balloon turns around too, and so you got to learn to read in reverse, or you got to walk around in front of them. And if they shoot somebody with a cartoon gun, it gives off with a bang balloon, and you can take that bang balloon and analyze it and find out the caliber of the gun and what cartoon studio produced it. And when somebody plays a cartoon piano, it gives out with a string of notes that you can then cut into 8x12 sheets, and that's where sheet music comes from. So, I had a lot of fun playing with that.
Yeah, certainly. Well, now the book was Who Censored Roger Rabbit, of course, became Who Framed Roger Rabbit. What can you tell me about sort of how that came to be and the changes that, Disney and Spielberg and everybody involved, how did they approach you and ultimately make the film that everybody knows and loves?
Well, the approach was kind of interesting. The book had not yet come out as a book. It was There was a 1-year lag time between the time I finished it and the time it actually came out. So it was like late 1979, and I got this phone call. And I picked it up, and the voice on the other end says, "This is Gary Wolf." I said, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Hi, this is Roy Disney." I said, "Yeah, right. Who is this really?"
Right.
But no, it really was Roy Disney. And he said, "I just got through reading your book, and I think it would make an excellent Disney movie, and would you be amenable to selling us the rights?" And I said, "Yeah, who is this?" Because the book still hadn't come out. It's, somebody at my publisher had sent a manuscript of the book over to Disney with a note saying, "We think you'd like this." I never found out who, because had I found out who, I would have kissed him or her full on the lips.
Sure.
But I never did. And it made its way to Roy Disney, and he decided to buy it. So they bought it in 1980, actually before it came out as a book, and they started trying to produce it. They later, when they finally did, get their hooks into it and really got rolling with it, they changed the title from censored to framed because they really didn't know if it was going to be an adult movie or a children's movie. And they kind of thought it might be a kids movie, and if it was a kids movie, they didn't want to put censored in the title because they thought, dirty movie, right?
Right.
So they changed it to framed, and I'm not opposed to that. There were times when they were making this movie when I would sometimes find myself in a room with 35 of the most creative people I've ever met in my life, and they're all throwing out ideas on how to make my book better and how to make my story better. And I'm just thinking to myself, where were you guys when 4 in the morning when
Right.
I was sitting there every morning before I went to work writing the book? I would have been a Pulitzer Prize winner if I had these 35 guys. So they had to make some changes.
Right. Well, obviously the movie went on to be a tremendous success, but it wasn't obvious initially. I mean, I know the studio had many reservations along the way. There were a lot of hurdles to jump through with regards to even developing the animation process to make it all come together. How involved were you along the way of, as you said, the development of it, but then also sort of shooting and seeing the final result?
I was kind of the creator emeritus. They seemed to value my input. I was the guy that came up with the idea in the first place. In those days, making movies really wasn't something that I had any interest in doing, and I didn't know anything about it. I got to go to the filming, and when they filmed in London, I got to go to the filming in London and Skywalker Ranch and watch them film. I got to see Bob Hoskins doing his thing many times. But really, the filmmakers made the film, and I wrote the book, and that's as it should be. I have no regrets about letting Disney do the movie because I think that book, in its original form, was an unfilmable book. I always thought that. There's no way that anybody's going to take this book and make it into a movie of all the books I've ever written. And yet Disney did that and changed it in such a way that not only did they make it into a movie, but they made it into a great movie.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely one of my favorites. Did you ever have a chance to see Charles Fleischer in his rabbit getup?
Yeah, many times. It's funny because Charlie, he actually, in real life, he looks like Roger.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like Roger, and it was Charlie who came up with that stuttered P. Dick Williams, the lead animator, who developed, way back, he developed the Pink Panther and won an Academy Award for that. But Dick Williams felt that every successful cartoon character had some kind of a speech impediment, and so they Porky Pig with his stutter and whatever, and Donald Duck with his whatever you call that.
Sure, Elmer Fudd, and yeah.
Elmer Fudd, yeah. So it was Charlie who said, "Well, how about if I stutter on P?" And he did it, and it worked really well. But yeah, I got to see him lots and lots of times. The guy that I got really close to was Bob Hoskins. I used to watch him work, And if I have any regret at all about the movie, it's that Bob Hoskins was not even nominated for an Academy Award for what I thought was the most incredible job of acting I've ever seen in my life. There were times when he was alone in a room with nothing, and he invented that whole toon world in his head and then acted around it and made people who saw him do this believe it was real. It was just an incredible job of acting.
Definitely, when he sadly passed away recently, there was a lot of footage being passed around online in his memory of some of that, early sort of test footage of him interacting with nothing, essentially, and doing one heck of a job at it.
Yeah, and just to show you how hard it was, if you look at that movie and see the scene where he's handcuffed to Roger, those handcuffs are actually a spring. There's a spring connecting his handcuff to Roger's handcuff. So when he moves his hand, he's not only moving his hand, but he's controlling where Roger's hand is. And he has to keep all that in his head while he's acting. Where's my hand? Where's Roger's hand? And it's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head and sticking out your tongue and whistling Dixie all at the same time. Yeah.
Now, was there anything from your book that you really loved that they were just like, oh, we can't do this in the movie?
Well, they tried to do the word balloons. I mean, I love the word balloons. And in the sequel novels, of which there are two, who plugged Roger Rabbit, we've standardized on the 4-piece stutter. And the latest one, Who Whacked Roger Rabbit, I continue to use the word balloons because I really love them as a convention. They were very, very fun for me to play around with. They're very unique. And in some of the early goings, Disney tried to use the word balloons, but it just didn't prove to be practical for a movie. It made the movie into a silent movie. The character would put up a word balloon and, it actually would stop while you're basically read the title card. They tried to give me an homage in the scene where Marvin Acme is having his funeral, and cartoon characters are carrying his casket. Goofy and Dopey and a bunch of cartoon characters are carrying his casket, and they start laughing. They can't stop laughing because they just laugh at everything. As they pass Crazy Cat, who is a character from the 1930s, and I think in the 1940s he was a cartoon and comic strip character who never spoke. He never spoke, of his cartoons. As they passed him, he gave up a word balloon, and the word balloon said sob. And that then turned to tears and kind of rained down on his shoulders and got him all wet. But in later production, they cut the movie because they didn't know if this was going to be a kid's movie or an adult movie, and the rule of thumb is that a kid's movie can't be longer than 90 minutes. So they cut some scenes to bring it down to closer to 90 minutes, and that was one of the scenes they cut. So, there went my homage. But everything else, they got bang on. I mean, they got Jessica actually exactly as I envisioned her, Baby Herman. They certainly nailed Bob Hoskins as Eddie Valiant. I was a happy guy.
Now, about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, something called The Stooge was being passed around online. I read about it, got pretty excited. Is that still a thing?
It's still, in the film business, things go in waves. They ebb and they flow, and they ebb and they flow. It was the same with the first Roger Rabbit movie.
Right.
I mean, they started producing it in 1980, and it was 1988 before it finally saw the light of day.
Sure.
They've been working on the sequel Roger Rabbit movie since 1990.
We all hope that gets made.
We all hope that gets made. The Stooge is kind of in the same category. It kind of comes and it goes. It blows hot, it blows cold. It is the perfect concept idea. A buddy comedy with Mickey and Roger. My guess, if I had to say, I would say that one day, sooner or later, it will get done. I just hope I'm still around to see it.
Well, if the right Disney folks are listening out there, take it from me. I want to see it. So
yeah, I get a lot of fan mail on the Stooge, and on my blog, tons and tons of people are saying, "Wow, the Stooge, that's a really really great project. Let's do that." Yeah.
Yeah. So your website, of course, GaryWolf.com. There, everyone can find out information about your newest book as well, which is Who Whacked Roger Rabbit. Where does the progression go after what we know as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then into the second book, and now into the third?
Well, I kind of play fast and loose with reality in Toontown. This one I actually started writing many years ago, and put it aside to concentrate on other projects because my agent told me that I could get more money for it if I waited to sell it until after the second movie came out, and we all know how that works.
That's a long wait.
So I picked it up again because my current publisher, Musa, who's published two of my science fiction books, wanted something that I could put on my website to kind of get people to keep coming back to my website. I told the publisher, I said, "Well, I've got this Roger Rabbit novel that I wrote, back in around 1991, and how about if we serialize that?" And they said, "You've got a Roger Rabbit novel?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, why don't we publish it?" So that's where it came from, and it is probably closer to my first novel, which is a little darker than the second novel, which I wrote after the movie came out. And the idea, most people's concept of Toontown and Roger Rabbit is formed by the movie. I mean, 1 billion people have seen the movie.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe my mother, my mother-in-law, and 3 of my cousins have read the book. So the movie is really the concept of Roger Rabbit that most people know. And so the second book, Who Plugged Roger Rabbit, is closer to that. The third novel is actually closer to the first one. It's a little darker. I think it's really funny. I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. In the book, Gary Cooper is making a movie that's going to be set in Toontown, and it's going to be a screwball comedy called Hi, Toon, and he's co-starring with Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
But Coop has been getting death threats, so the producer hires Eddie Valiant to bodyguard Gary Cooper. And, of course, Eddie Valiant is a big fan of Cooper's, but of Roger, not so much. Then, during the course of bodyguarding Cooper, the 3 of them uncover a murder, and so they kind of team up, another buddy comedy going to solve the murder. And it works out to be pretty funny. The usual characters, usual suspects are there. Jessica,
sure.
Baby Herman, Eddie, they're all back, yeah.
Excellent. Well, everybody can buy that as an ebook format, right, on your website?
Yeah, and shortly, the publisher just told me that shortly, probably after the first of the year, it is also going to be available as a book on demand.
Oh, fantastic.
So, if you don't want to fire up your Kindle, if you're old school and like holding paper between your hands, you can get it after the first of the year as a regular book, too, yeah.
Excellent. Well, Gary, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Let me just say personally...
Can I say something about my contest?
Well, of course you can, yes. That was going to be my next question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I should let you do your job. I've got a contest going, kind of to thank people for 25 years that movie's been around, and the fan support I've gotten from that, and the fan support for the Roger character, it's just been incredible. So to thank people for that, and also to kind of get some awareness for a new animated series I'm kind of deep in development on, which features a cartoon wolf trying to fit into the comic world. I've got a contest going, and if people email me at rogerrabbit@garywolf.com and tell me if Roger and Jessica were going to a costume party, what costumes would they wear? I'm going to pick 2 winners. I'm going to pick one actually tomorrow on August 15th, and one on August 30th. So there'll be 2 winners. And both winners are going to win the same thing, a Blu-ray edition of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, autographed by yours truly. a real copy of Who Whacked Roger Rabbit, which is a special print promo limited edition copy that we made 40 copies of, mostly to give as gifts to the guys who blurbed the book. And then a special zillion Samoan note that we put together and printed up for inclusion in the gift bags, the celebrity gift bags at the opening of Toontown in Disneyland. And you can live like a king in Toontown with a zillion Samoans.
Very true.
All of those will come autographed, and you can enter as often as you want. In fact, I'm chuckling over entries every day. The two best entries will win the prizes.
Excellent. Well, this show is actually going to come out after your first deadline, but certainly that second one, everyone will still have a couple of weeks to try for and come up with some crazy ideas for you.
Okay, great.
Fantastic. So, on a personal note here, Roger Rabbit, as I'm sure is the case with many, many people out there, I kind of grew up watching that movie over and over and over to the point where I could practically recite it. And to speak to the guy who created that character is a wonderful honor in that whole world. So it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Well, thanks. And I am just overwhelmed by comments like that, and I hear that so often from people who watched it when it came out, then used it as a babysitter, watched the VHS, and now those kids are using it as a babysitter, and those kids are watching the Blu-ray disc. It's just gratifying to me.
It will live on forever. Everybody definitely go check out GaryWolf.com. Thanks again for being on Inside the Magic.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Take care.
Absolutely wonderful to talk to Mr. Gary K. Wolf about creating one of my favorite characters, Roger Rabbit. Simply fascinating. Definitely don't forget to go check out his books, his new book especially, and enter his contest to win those great prizes. All right, let's talk about Villains Unleashed, the event at Disney's Hollywood Studios last night, a 5-hour event, 8 p.m. till 1 a.m., all surrounding all the bad guys and gals from the Disney universe. I had a lot of fun. Separately ticketed event with tax came out to be $71 or so for a ticket, which is pretty steep. You'd go into that expecting a lot for a ticket that price, especially with only 5 hours to enjoy it. And there were multiple ways of approaching this event because there was such a wide variety of entertainment available. There were a lot of stage shows available, a lot of unique food available. There were certainly a lot of characters available, and many people would go into this event and did go into this event thinking that was really the focus of the event. Villains are being unleashed naturally, so you're going to want to see and meet those villains, 50 villains to be exact. And to sort of begin that introduction, I actually want to take you to the very beginning of the night at 8 p.m. That all began on that big stage right in front of the big hat in front of the big Chinese theater, in which Hades and Megara and Pain and Panic, from Hercules of course, introduced the evening.
Villains Unleashed! To kick off tonight's festivities, please give a rousing Hades hangout welcome to the Underworld's 3 most famous minions, Pain, Panic.
Let's hear it for my 2 impish escorts! Alright, enough, get out of here. Go! Beat it! Hi, everyone. Let's just say I made a few bad decisions and hung around with the wrong kind of crowd, but hey, you all look like my kind of crowd, am I
right? What do you think this is, Dr. Phil? Get on with it, just like we rehearsed. Sell it. Give me fizzle.
Speak of the devil. We'll chat later. It is now my dubious honor to introduce to you your host for this evening's festivities. Please welcome the ruler of the underworld, the guardian of the river of souls, and the possessor of a giant ego. I mean, this guy.
I heard that.
Here to unleash the villains and officially set the night ablaze. Give it up for your one and only, Hades!
backup dancers. All right, kiddies, let's burn up the dance floor, because I am back!
And indeed, some dancing went on, a whole lot of fire effects in multiple colors, which are really cool up by the stage. Really close proximity, these fire blasts. And, this stage has been used in recent days for the Frozen Fun summer event at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And, with Hades around, and where he comes from, and all that fire and whatnot, I guess they had to heat up that stage a little bit and, make it work for the Villains event. And he definitely did that.
Oh, is it hot in here, or is it just me?
Oh, brother.
Get out of here! Well, sorry that my Hades hangout seemed to have thawed out the Frozen stage. Oops, my bad. I guess all you Frozen fans will have to let it go. For the first time in forever, you won't have to hear that song tonight. Oh, yes, your human eyeballs cannot deceive you. 'Tis I, the Lord of the Underworld, the handsome host of Huntsville, the dancing deity of the dead, the thunder from down under.
I think I'm going to be sick.
Sound the drums, bang the trumpets, and I need more coming!
And so it proceeded from there. That's about 3 or 4 minutes or so of a 22-minute introductory show that would make no sense for me to continue playing on here, and that's because it was a very visual show. They brought out villain after villain after villain after villain, skipping over a few because, it would have taken absolutely forever to get them all out there, but they went through a good portion of the 50 that were part of this event, leaving some of the surprises to be found throughout the park. And so you can see a video, of course, of that entire introduction, seeing all those villains come out over at on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Inside the Magic. Lots of photos, of course, over on our website as well. Amongst the rarer villains that were part of the Villains Unleashed event were Gantu and Dr. Hamsterville from the Lilo and Stitch series. There was Shan Yu, Oogie Boogie, Maleficent, the live-action version of Maleficent, Angelina Jolie style. There was, of course, the ones that you just heard, Pain Panic and Megara and whatnot. Captain Barbossa from Pirates was around, and Constantine from Muppets Most Wanted was making a first ever appearance. So, and the list certainly continues, Star Wars characters and on and on and on. So you got to see a lot of those in that introduction. After that, everyone was kind of free to separate and go to a variety of different bits of entertainment. Started off very strong there. My number one spot that I wanted to go to, the place I went to very next, was the awesome mixtape dance party. This is the only time you'll probably ever hear me say that I wanted to go straight to a dance party, because I'm not much of a fan of those at Disney parks. But in this case, it was because it was Guardians of the Galaxy themed. Well, it wasn't so much themed. It was the Disney Junior stage area of the park, and it had some banners and stuff, but most importantly there were Star-Lord and Gamora in there. First time not only for these characters in a Disney park, in any theme park, but also the first time Marvel characters have appeared at Walt Disney World at all, and that was pretty exciting. They looked pretty good. I think Gamora looked a lot better than Star-Lord or Peter Quill did, but they looked pretty good. What was really nice about this is there was kind of a velvet rope set up. This wasn't like a queue where you had to wait hours and hours to meet these characters. You just kind of walked in, dance party going on, lights flashing, DJ music playing with the occasional song from the mixtape from the movie. And they were just there. They were walking back and forth across the big room behind a rope, and the big crowd, not even that big of a crowd, but the crowd could just sort of walk up and wait your turn and sort of get your way to the front next to the rope, and you could lean in and talk to them for a minute or two. Well, maybe not that long, but a few seconds, and then, snap a picture with them, and they'd move on to the next person. It was really free form and casual and very nice. Really different, nice change from the usual everybody queue up forever, sort of thing that characters require. So I enjoyed that, got my photo with them, got some photos of them, got some video of them, and naturally you can find all of that on the website, YouTube channel, all of that. And yeah, that was good. I like that. I hope I know we're going to get more Marvel characters because Big Hero 6 is on the way a bit later this year with Hero and Baymax coming, and then we'll see where it goes from there, how much more Marvel we'll get. But Guardians, huge hit, biggest hit of the summer. In fact, as of this weekend, it has surpassed everything else this summer. So it's doing tremendously well, and these characters were fun to see. So there's that. Now, after that, again, there was lots of opportunities to do different things around the park. You could go around and find the many characters that were around there, but I'm not going to talk about that yet because I have to talk about what was my favorite part of the Villains Unleashed event, Oogie Boogie's Freaky Funhouse. The name already should suggest to you that it's not your usual Disney entertainment. So first of all, it's Oogie Boogie. When was the last time Oogie Boogie had a stage show in a Disney theme park? I think it was for a Haunted Mansion holiday event like 15 years ago or something. Well, maybe not quite that long, but a long time ago. In California, of course. I don't know that Oogie Boogie has ever had anything like this in Florida, which was fantastic to see him up on stage. Great set. It was in the Beauty and the Beast Theater. And it was completely overlaid Oogie Boogie style. So kind of black light look to it. Skeletons in orange and green and flaming glowing pumpkins. And he had his boogie backup dancers that were all sort of black light looking, a bit creepy, a bit Halloween-y, but also a lot of fun. Kept keeping it festive in there. And the first thing that he did right away at the beginning of this show was, of course, sing or at least perform his Oogie Boogie song from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is always a hit. Wonderful to see in a theme park and here. And, it sounded a little bit like this.
Let me show you Boogie Dancing!
There's trouble close at hand. You better pay attention now, 'cause I'm the boogeyman. And if you are shaken, there's something very wrong. 'Cause this may be the last time you hear the boogie song. I'm the boogeyman.
And, of course, that continued, and you heard another voice in there, and that was kind of Oogie Boogie's victim, as tends to be the case. When you hear the Boogie song, there's problems happening, problems going on. And there was indeed a victim that his dancers pulled off stage and had some fun with. And from there, the Freaky Funhouse definitely began, and this show was unlike anything I had seen in a Disney theme park before, probably unlike anything that's ever been in a Disney theme park before, at least in Florida. Maybe they can get away with this sort of thing overseas or in California. Maybe it's happened similar like this, but this was a true sort of sideshow, freak show act that went through a series of them, each getting a little bit more not so Disney. Now, described online, this event, this show, it said it may not be suitable for young children. When do you go to a Disney show and it says not suitable for young children? That certainly makes you think, this could be very interesting. So certainly got in there and got into the spirit, and it started off with this whacked out crazy sword swallower. And you might think, I've seen a sword swallower before. Well, this guy was nuts. Big hair, flailing all around, swallowing multiple swords. Very, very entertaining. Pretty brief. High energy, a lot of fun. Moved on from there, there was a crossbow demonstration. I don't know if that's the right word. Performance. Pretty neat. Doing some tricks with firing actual arrows across the stage at each other, a guy and a girl, and sort of death-defying sort of stunts. A lot of fun there. But really, in the end, it wrapped up with what I can only describe as something I probably would have thought would have happened at Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal rather than a Disney park. There came out down the stairs of this stage with a guy holding a scantily clad girl. in his arms. She was completely limp, seeming to be dead. Red light bathing them. Ominous music. He lays her down on the stage and begins to, he took, a few swigs of a drink, and also there was fire involved, and he began to do some fire spitting, big, huge bursts of flames coming from his mouth and his breath, and then he began interacting with the seemingly dead girl on the stage with some fire, and through some hocus pocus, she seemed to come back to life, and then she really jumped into this performance in a big way, fire dancing and, a big fire hula hoop and all these cool things moving around, just fire everywhere. And it was quite long, maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. She was contorting and bending herself and doing a split and dancing around. And I probably mentioned that she was not wearing a whole lot of clothing. So it made it, a lot of chatter around me in the audience. It's like, oh my God, is this really, is this going on at Disney? I don't want my kids seeing this. It was interesting. Some would say Disney perhaps did not warn everybody enough. It didn't say it on the park maps that it may not be suitable for young children, but it did say it online. And cast members were telling anybody who asked what was going on in there as well. So, in summary, I loved it. I thought this was a fantastic show. In fact, out of a 5-hour night, I spent 1 hour watching this show twice. It was a half-an-hour show, and it was great. It was so nice to see Disney venture outside of its usual, targeting everything towards a 2-year-old family-friendly environment, and taking an event that's about villains, and that's open till 1 a.m., and it's at Hollywood Studios. It's not at the Magic Kingdom, and this is what so many people have been asking for such a long time. Go a little bit outside the box and make an event that is geared to a little bit more of an older audience. There was nothing terribly risque about this. It wasn't really that bad. I said Halloween Horror Nights. There's things way, way, way worse than Halloween Horror Nights. So by no means was this really anywhere near that, though this, I think, would have fit in very well over there. But it was just fun. I really enjoyed the show. Obviously, I went back and saw it a second time, and I wish I could see it again. It was just, it's the individual acts, maybe some might say, it wasn't that great. It was something I'd seen before, sword swallowing, whatever. But I think the way it was presented, and then it ended with a big, dance number again, Oogie Boogie, what came out, and the dancers and all the acts were out there, and they were all dancing, and there was confetti and strobe lights and black light and all that stuff, and it was just a lot of fun and so different. That's what was most important. It was unique, and it was great to see Disney doing something new, not just the same old, yeah, it's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, it's the same parade we've had for the last 10 years, same fireworks, that kind of thing, where those are all great, but something new is fantastic, and just for one night is wonderful, and I guarantee Disney's going to get a lot of complaints, unfortunately, for this. For those who maybe were not prepared for this, who didn't, it's kind of a first, and I hope that those complaints do not deter Disney from doing more like this in the future. More, a villains event. Things that are later at night, geared toward a bit of an older audience. There was mostly adults. I barely saw any kids the entire night at Villains Unleashed, and it was kind of the point. It's a nighttime event. So anyway, I obviously could go on and on about this. I will conclude, if you were there and you liked this show like I did, and I know a lot of people did. I've talked to a lot of people who really liked it. Tell Disney. I'm going to write to them, and I'm going to say, for every complaint that you're getting, I want to let you know that people are enjoying this type of a show, because it's it's not going to replace all of the other wonderful, fun, magical Disney family-friendly stuff, but it's nice to have a balance, So, again, video, photos, all of that, over on our website and YouTube. And actually, I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth analysis of this type of a show in a Disney park over on OutsideTheMagic.com. Seems like a perfect place for that, so look for that this week as well. So, moving on from there, as I said, there were certainly many, many, many characters all over the park. They were all villains, naturally, and this is where the event kind of derailed. It was great if you just wanted to walk around and look at villains, which is what I essentially did. You could see a lot of them roaming through the streets, which was wonderful. A lot of the Star Wars characters over by Star Tours were just simply roaming around, didn't have official queues set up. A couple of them did, Darth Vader and Boba Fett, the ones that a lot of people are going to want to see. But other sort of secondary characters were just kind of roaming around. You could just stop them, take a picture real quick, and then move on. That was nice to see. The same thing with Gaston and Frollo, just kind of wandering. And they attracted a crowd, sure, but it was nice to have that sort of just stumble across them moment, which I like. Now, the rarer characters, this is where the event had some serious problems, because a lot of people showed up to Villains Unleashed expecting, I'm going to meet Constantine from Muppets Most Wanted, and I'm going to meet the live-action Maleficent, and I'm going to meet Captain Barbossa, and I'm going to meet these rare Lilo and Stitch characters, and no, it actually turned out to be an or, if you're lucky. The lines were capped very, very early in the evening. By the time I finished the opening show, went to Guardians of the Galaxy briefly, just to see those characters, and then did the Oogie Boogie show. My next stop was going to be Constantine, over in the, it was in the Muppets store, Muppets Vision 3D store. And when I got over there, nope, sorry, line was already capped. That was about 9 o'clock or so. 9:30 maybe? I don't know. It was very early in the evening, and some people had lined up since a couple of hours before the event even began, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And the reason for that is, a little bit understandable for Constantine, because it was actually Matt Vogel, the actual voice of Constantine and the actual puppeteer of Constantine from Muppets Most Wanted. He was there in person, behind the scenes, of course, bringing that Muppet to life, which is pretty awesome. And I really wanted to see that. Unfortunately, I did not, because I did not get a 3-hour line very early in the evening. The same thing ended up actually being true for Barbossa and Maleficent. If you wanted to see those characters, you had to wait in a really, really long line. Basically take over half the night just for one character. Now, if you missed out on those, you tried to hop around to some of the others. I mean, there are people who successfully saw, 15 or 20 characters in the night, but there's no way you could see all 50. Not a chance. Or meet all 50, I should say. You could see them from a distance. Some of them fairly close, but it was simply impossible to see all of them, or even close to all of them, without some serious planning, and essentially skipping all the other entertainment as well. So for me, I was perfectly fine with hopping around to the various sources of entertainment throughout the evening and just seeing the villains from afar. Like I said, I did kind of want to meet Constantine, but I'm not completely heartbroken about it. I saw him through a window. At least you could do that. Got some good photos and a little bit of video. You can see that, of course, again, on our YouTube channel. I feel like I'm saying that too much, but it's a lot of people are really, really complaining about the fact that the character thing was kind of a mess, because they saw that as the entire focus of this event. From my perspective, it was not. It was about the whole thing, and you kind of pick and choose what you wanted to do. But those who are character hunters and who really wanted to see nothing but the characters definitely had some problems at this event, and probably spent the entire evening, paid $70 to wait in like 2 lines, and that was the entire night for them, and that's no fun, honestly. If you wandered around the park like I did the entire evening, there was a lot of other fun to be found, and I was perfectly happy just seeing the characters from further away. So what else was there going on in the evening? At the Brown Derby, it was made over into sort of a villains hangout. There was special food being served, there were drinks, and there was a lounge singer singing some villains songs, and characters would just kind of stop by whenever and sit down with you, have a conversation. Very neat. I never actually got inside there either, because there was a nice long line for that. I actually, in hindsight, I probably should have skipped the second Oogie Boogie show in order to see what was going on in there, but I really wanted to see that freaky funhouse again, so I'm not too upset about that decision. But from what I heard, the Brown Derby experience was quite a lot of fun. Now, another bomb of the night was a advertised Phantasmic pre-show featuring the Nightcrawlers, and Disney did not elaborate as to what it meant to have the Nightcrawlers there. Well, as it turned out, they were really lame. Attempted improv comedy, sort of, kind of, maybe. No. You can, if you really want to, see a video of that over on our YouTube channel, but I don't really recommend it. The plus side of what went on in there, they projected a big face on the Phantasmic Mountain, which was kind of amusing. But yeah, that really shouldn't have happened. So, on the big stage, in front of the big hat, in front of the big theater, also was a performance by the, resident house band Mulch, Sweat, and Shears in whatever villainous form they showed up as here. But occasionally, Hades would join in with the band and offer his own vocal stylings, if you want to call them that, to pretty much everybody's amusement. So here's a little sampling of what that sounded like.
You really got to bring in some fun. Some fun. Fun, I got it. All right, give me bouncy C. Add a 1, add a 2, add a 1, 2, 3. So long, farewell. I'll see you say that. Get out of here. Go. That was more fun. It was fun. If you consider German folk music fun. But, Lederhosen, Dirndls, what more did you need to know? Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't like to wear leather pants in the summertime? Now, we really got to bring the party, all right?
Bring the party!
That's right. This is the last song of the night, your last chance.
First, I got to get out of the way. And 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, last dance. You Van Hellions, I want to sing. Do you got it?
You see Hercules' head buried up to his neck in the
All right, we're going to Meisner this too?
Yeah, Meisner. You really do some sense memory work on it.
All right.
Really deep, your mother, she hated you clearly. All right. Now, I read the books. She was a prostitute. Okay, now, you see her buried up to his neck in the sand. You see his big, fat, goody head just sitting there, and you just want to... cook it! I meant to tighten, not a frost tighten. Get from the color. You wake up late for school, and you don't want to go.
And on it went from there. Once again, you can see video of that over on a YouTube channel. But anyway, so that was another source of entertainment. A lot of people were having fun, rocking out in front of the stage. Their characters would kind of roam through occasionally, and that proceeded for several hours, alternating with some DJs as well, or a DJ. And then culminating at the end of the evening was the Villainy in the Sky fireworks, which might sound familiar. The Unleash the Villains event from Friday the 13th last year, not to be confused with Villains Unleashed, happened at the end of the night, Villainy in the Sky fireworks, except this time it was hosted by and conjured by none other than Maleficent, the Angelina Jolie live-action version, which was a fantastic introduction to the fireworks. Now, of anybody who didn't wait many hours in line to go see Maleficent, often tucked away in the animation courtyard, this was the one and only opportunity to see her, and it was a really fantastic way to see her. She did a phenomenal job introducing the fireworks and making that happen, and green flames and yelling and threats and everything that Maleficent should do. In fact, she was kind of better than the movie Maleficent, but don't tell anyone that. So here's a little sample of what Maleficent sounded like up on the big stage in front of the big hat and in front of the big theater for the Villains Unleashed, Villainy in the Sky fireworks.
I got an important guest to introduce. All right, mortals, tell me, are you enjoying your festivities of Villains Unleashed? Splendid. As promised earlier, one of my very special guests has come along and brought with us a gift.
That would have been an awkward situation. I trust you have been enjoying your time with all the other invited guests. Marvelous. To show I bear no ill will, as promised, I wish to bestow a gift on this auspicious Now, tell me, my darlings, are you ready to receive my gift? All right. presenting this gathering of all those unleashed, I require all who hear my voice to now join together and unleash a villainous
And so the fireworks continued. And that was pretty awesome. As I said, green, big flames and Maleficent conjuring everything up, and not a pre-recorded voice either. Live on stage, which is nice for Walt Disney World, and the fireworks. Fantastic. Huge booms, and the finale, absolutely extraordinary. Really great show. Gosh, I have to say this one more time. Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel. So, a huge photo and video report over on our website as well. Lots more thoughts, lots more to see from the Villains Unleashed event. You can check out food and drinks and merchandise, and a lot of guests that showed up in costumes and Disney bounding and all of that. And, everything that I just described. Definitely go check it out. If you weren't there, you missed a really good time. And if you spent the whole night waiting in line for one or two characters, I'm sorry, because that, in my opinion, was not the way to spend this evening. I understand the character event, you want to go meet all the characters, but it can be a lot of fun to just sort of hang back and look at the characters. You don't have to get a photo with all of them. And I can understand the appeal for those who want to do that and do the character hunting thing and be a completionist and get everyone that you can. I mean, I get it. If Darkwing Duck had been there, I probably would have waited 3 hours in line to meet him, and that's probably going to happen someday. But it's just like yes, it's a little bit of bad planning on Disney's part. It did feel oversold. They should have sold fewer tickets so that people could get through these lines faster and could see more of the event. Maybe they should have even made it a 2-night event or a 3-night event and given less tickets per night, but more people an opportunity to see more of it. And I would have loved that. And everybody would have loved that, and maybe that's what they're going to do next time around. I don't see this going away. I think it's been a success. I think it will ultimately be a financial success, certainly at $70 a ticket, and they sold, 13, 14, 15,000 tickets, something like that, it went from Friday the 13th last time. It was included with park admission, no extra cost. Now they've sold all these tickets for this. I have to imagine they're going to do another one of these, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes they come up with next time around. But I quite enjoyed my time. I'm sure if you went and hunted online, you would read about many people who had less than good experiences. Most people, in fact, from what I've understood, had some bad experiences there. But for me, I quite enjoyed it. I thought I got my $70 worth. In hindsight, I gladly would have bought my ticket again because really unique show with the Oogie Boogie show. Great fireworks, great opening, lots of fun happening around the park. If anything, I wished it had been open for another couple of hours. I would have gladly stayed till 2 or 3 in the morning to see more of what was going on. A few couple thousand less people are really my only complaints. And on the way out, there was even a little bit of a goodie bag, some autograph cards because the characters weren't signing. So they've been doing that for a long time. These great autograph cards, one filled with all the regular villains, another one with all the Star Wars villains, another one with Star-Lord and Gamora, and then some other little goodies, some chocolate and buttons and stuff like that. So if you want to read more about this whole event, head over to the website, check out the YouTube channel to see all the videos, and Villains Unleashed, in my opinion, a successful event. Others might tell you otherwise, but I quite had a lot of fun. Yep, another week without the listener feedback as we reach the end of show 490 here. I'll definitely play some big-time listener feedback catch-up in the very near future, but hopefully this week you enjoyed all of our fun from my conversation with Gary K. Wolf. It was a blast to talk to him. A great interview and great guy to talk to, and I've been a fan of Roger Rabbit for so long, so to talk to the guy who created that character, and Eddie Valiant and Jessica Rabbit and all of that, some of my favorites in the world, were just stupendous. So go check out his books for sure, and enter that contest. Great prizes there. So Villains Unleashed, obviously I had an excellent time, and if you would like to read more, Seymour, hundreds and hundreds of pictures. Great. I got some really, really great photos of the characters and all of the festivities there. You can check those out over on the website, and lots of video over on our YouTube channel as well, so I definitely encourage you to see all of that. Of course, I want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. And I should put in another plug, as I have been for quite a few weeks now, for radleyhaunt.com. This is the haunted attraction I'm working on with artist Cody Meacham and creator of Radley down in St. Petersburg. Not too much new to add for now, other than to say stay tuned for some great updates in the near future. radleyhaunt.com is where you can find out all the latest information on that. For those of you who did contribute to our successful Kickstarter recently, we'll be in contact very soon to kind of work out the details of all of that. And for the rest of you, in the coming weeks, we'll continue to share some updates, and looking forward to entertaining everybody in mid-October. Between episodes of this show, of course, you can visit our website at InsideTheMagic.net, not only for more information about each week's podcast, but to find all of our videos and photos and news and articles, and especially links to follow us on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube, and just keep up with all the fun throughout every week. So thanks to all of you for listening to this show each and every week. Hopefully you had a lot of fun on this show. And one final note here. Today is August 24th. I want to say a big happy birthday to my mom. So have a magical week, and goodbye.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.